Hi, welcome to rajxilinive. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Bonita community, which is powered by Bonita, so which is a business process management tool, which will be used to manage business processes and all that. In reference to this Bonita community, we can create projects, whatever the project requirements do we have and all. So those projects can be created here. In today's video, we are discussing about how to create a project and how to move further. So here you can see there is an option for new project where you click on it. So we have to create a project where we have to provide some project name and all everything. So which is essentially required for us to create a project. So not only creation of project, but also we should be knowing about how this is to be connected with the servers, all that stuff, because some server connections and all everything, runtime servers has to be updated here equally, majorly, which is what generally we try to understand. Wherein whenever we are going to create a project, irrespective of the project domain it belongs to. So I have given customer relationship management as a project. Using this customer relationship management, whatever the activities of customers, one has to be taken care of and one has to be performed. All these things has to be done under this CRM process itself. So in this regard, we need to create in CRM application, we need to create a CRM project. So I have created a project on the name of CRM. Followed by this, there was version called 0.0.1 was given. At the same time, the group ID we have created in reference to this comes under com.company. At the same time, if you want to mention any kind of runtime version here, like 7.15.0 or something of that sort, the runtime can also be given equally. So after that, whenever you're trying to create projects in this, we can see wherein there is some download happening here, wherein it is taking time, somewhere around 46% was done so far. Because, yeah, so here you can see when a project is when we are creating a project here. So runtime server is configured to be started automatically, right? So when we have created a project, whatever the runtime server in reference to Bonita, so that will be created automatically here. So once it is created automatically, this is how usually the application will be looks like. So this is what and how usually this project has to be created here, right? So you can see here. Now, for example, if you want to in this CRM application, what we have created. So there are options where if you want to create any kind of business data models and all, we have an option where we can create some business data models. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of process diagrams can be created here. Followed by this, any user interface design related things will be created in a form of user interfaces on that. This is where generally page forms on that. Followed by this, if there is any kind of application descriptors, right? So all this can be created sequentially there. Now, what is that I am taking is I am taking process diagram here, wherein I am just creating a process diagram. Click on create. Right, so where is this process diagram? You can see here, right? So process diagram is what I have created. I'm trying to create a process diagram. So I've just selected a process diagram here. So when we are creating a process diagram, we need to understand and we have to create a flows relating to the step one procedure. For example, start, right? So wherein I'm just creating a process for login, right? So login is what generally the process we are taking. Here, if you want to connect any kind of flows here, so we can connect the flows, whatever the flows we have. So those flows can be connected equally, substantially. So we can connect the flows where we have to create any kind of gateways or something like. So gateway, as I mentioned you, so as far as server itself is concerned, I have mentioned it as a gateway for the login process. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of activities in reference to the existing process itself is concerned, whatever the process we are initiating here, right? So, for example, if you want to create any kind of start message or something like that, so start message like welcome, welcome to CRM, right? So this is what generally the start message, for example, right? So this is the start message which was created, wherein this start message can be updated here, first of all. So followed by this, what are the changes are we going to do and how are we going to do the changes? Right. So all these things can be done here equally. Right? So this is where generally, and this is how generally this starts message and all everything is what we have created here. Right? So this is where welcome to CRM is what generally an option we have used. Right. So we have used it, start activities, all that stuff. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of end activities and all everything, here we can create an end activity which is called logout. Okay. And just creating an option called logout here. Right? So this is what it is. Next, apart from this, if you want to create any kind of text innovations here, so this text innovations can be implemented here itself. Like for example, uh, username and password. Right. So this is what generally the username and password which was given. Right. So username and password is something essentially important whenever we are creating a login part. So whenever we are creating a login part, this is where generally we need to know the kind of process of understanding over the activities, what is that we are going to perform, followed by the kind of activities which has to be streamlined, the kind of gateways what we have, or else if you want to create any kind of swim lanes, right? So all this stuff, right? So these details you can give here, right? So you can give the description here, right? So description as login is the process. It will be used to enter into an application. Right? This is what generally the description I have given. Next, we need to mention the task, whatever the kind of task it was and all that. So, for example, it is a task which is something relating to the service, right? So, if that was the case, we have to select it. Otherwise, it is a task which is usually a human task, which normally I have given as a human task. Let's say that, for example, if it is a high priority item, wherein this high priority item has to be updated here equally. So high priority items and all everything was given. So this is where generally this informations and all everything was given in reference to this. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of task apart from that other task like receiving task, or if you want to write any kind of script task or something of that sort, abstract task and all that. So multiple tasks can be created. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of process flows in reference to the process of understanding over this when we are working on it and whatever we are working on and how are we presenting this process and all everything in reference to the username password what we have given. Along with this, if you want to create any kind of spacing, or if you want to create any kind of mergers, and if you want to create any kind of zoom in and zoom out processes, all these things can also be created here equally. So this is where and how usually this information, right? So username password was given. This is what generally we call text annotations on that. So which was given here. So this is how generally an overall understanding about these diagrams and all everything will be created here. Now, whenever it is done, if you want to validate the process and all everything, wherein we need to run in the background itself, whatever the process are we going to run. So we need to run the process here. You connect to the process what we have taken so far. And what is that we have taken, like user applications, right? So user applications on that, right? So this is where and all. Right. So this is how generally this process, right? So this is how generally this process and all everything is what will be started, where we have to create kind of tasks, cases, processes, right? So all these things can be created here equally, right? So this is how generally this unit application will be used for different reasons and all that. So this is all about the video. If you have any questions in regard to that, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.